Hello there, welcome to Release Readiness Live. I'm Elna Miller, your community moderator, and I am delighted to be here with you all this week as we dive into some of the great new features in the Summer 19 release across all the major clouds. And today we are kicking off a doubleheader with Platform. The Platform team is here today, which means lots of features that apply to lots of folks out there. So definitely looking forward to this one. And what I love about Release Readiness Live is that no matter what type of trailblazer you are, whether this is your first release or your 20th, you will learn something new that you can use. And we are here with our product managers today in the studio. They're going to be doing some live demos and also taking some of your questions on the air as well. And to tell us about that, I'm very happy to welcome back our original community rock star, Sam Acuff. Sam?
Thank you, Elna. It's really easy to ask a question. All you need to do is use the hashtag Salesforce Live. Now, you can ask a question in the Release Readiness community out on the Trailblazer community, or you can ask that question in Twitter. Now, remember, we do have a policy of no questions left behind. So if we don't get to your question on the air, we will be following up in the next day or two with your questions. So keep them coming. And as I said, it's really easy. It's just the hashtag Salesforce Live. And I'm standing by for your questions. And Elna, back to you.
Thank you, Sam. So just as a reminder, we are recording this broadcast as well as all the broadcasts this week, so you'll be able to watch it back after. They'll be available probably later today or tomorrow. And also, just so you know, we may be talking about the roadmap today, and we may be making some forward-looking statements. So just please remember to keep your purchasing decisions based on currently available functionality. And now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and meet our product managers, starting with Xander. Welcome.
Thanks, Elna. I'm Xander Mittman, product manager on Lightning Platform, and I'm very excited today to talk about some really important new list features that I know many admins and end users in particular will be excited about, as well as in-app guidance and a new Lightning extension for browsers.
Right. Hi, I'm Joshua Schneier. I'm a product manager on our mobile team, and I'm really excited today to talk to you about Notification Builder and the all-new Salesforce mobile app.
And I'm John Whalen. I'm a product manager on Shield Platform Encryption. I'm really excited to talk about deterministic encryption and unblocking platform capability.
Awesome. I cannot wait to hear about the related list. So Xander, take it away.
All right, get right to it. So this is the #1 ask from Dreamforce last year from the True to the Core session. Over 35,000 points on the idea exchange. So I know many users are eager for this. It's enhanced related lists. So the main things here are that you can now show 10 columns on the related list component on a Lightning page. And you can wrap the text, so you can see more of it with scanning, so you don't have to resize columns. But if you do want to, you can now resize columns there. And you can perform mass actions on there. So I'll give a complete demo of this, but very powerful. And this is coupled nicely by quickly filtering related list data. So you can filter on a related list by any of the columns that you see in the user interface there, including based on dates, numbers, subject containing certain text, things like that. So this is all about productivity, all those little moments that add up to users being able to be as efficient and productive as they can with their day. That's what my team is all about. So Jeff Davis is the product manager for this, and he'll also be presenting this on Friday, but I know that he's coming off also releasing pinned lists in the last release and then this, so we have a lot of great things coming up with lists in Lightning. And also a lot of innovations here that are better than it was in Classic. And next is in-app guidance. So this is a platform way to create in-app guidance with clicks, not code. So again, all about making it easy for your users to understand how to get the most out of Salesforce. I spent a lot of time talking to customers, understanding how you're training your users, what your training materials look like. And this is another way to reach your users where they are in the app when they're ready to take advantage of the information and put it to good use right there, just a click away. So we'll go through a demo about how you can do that, again, with clicks, not code. And then finally, with Lightning plugins, this is an extension that we're releasing for the Chrome browser first, and will come with 3 features out of the box. The first one is dark mode. This was a huge one, especially with Mac making it available across the operating system and other operating systems. It's great if you're working in a dark environment or you want a different color contrast. This is a very popular idea among end users as well. The second one is Tab Grabber. That's the new title for the Lightning Console Chrome extension. We have tens of thousands of users that have been in that pilot for over the past year. So I'm personally very excited to have that out as a GA, generally available feature. And I'll show you how that works. We'll be launching this later on in June, so keep an eye out on the community for the official link to the Google Chrome store. So with that, let's jump into the demo. So here, let's say I'm a small business owner and I'm selling those really cool inflatable tube guys to used car sales lots. And I have a lot of person accounts in here. I'm also selling to larger businesses. But so to show you the enhanced related lists, I'll select on one of my customers here, Matt Pender. And so you can see I have a related list here in the on this tab. You can see right now it can only show 4 columns in here, which anybody who knows, if you're trying to figure out what's the best way to spend your time, and let's say there are 10 cases I could be looking at, and which one should I look at first? Sometimes you need to scan across a number of different columns, different rows, and your mind is really good at filtering all through those things and figuring out what is the best thing that you should be doing right now. But you need the data to be able to do that effectively. So you can do that today by clicking View All and you get more information, but that's another click. If you're in Console, it's another tab. So if you want to work efficiently, you can now do that with enhanced lists. So if you go to Setup, Edit Page, and then click on that component in Lightning App Builder. So it's right here on the right where all the other attributes are. So you see related list type. This is the new option here, Enhanced List. So before it was Tile, Basic List. So you just pick Enhanced List. And the default is number of records to display. So 10 rows, 10 records. So you can now see 10. So I'll click Save there. And click back. So now if I go in Cases, voila, just like that, I have all these columns, which are configured in Page Layout Editor. And so now I have all this great information to be able to see it at a glance. So some of the really new useful things I can do here is I can sort on each column. Let's say I want to get a little more information at a glance. I can choose to wrap the text. And let's say I'm on a larger monitor, I can drag things around, or I can choose to scroll horizontally in there. Another new thing here is on mass actions from here. So again, I can do this without having to go to the drill in first. So let's say I want to pick a couple. Let's say I'm overloaded this week and I want to reassign these to my co-founder, Chris. Click Submit, and then just like that, now they're reassigned to Chris. So very powerful feature here to get that data right at your fingertips, so you can spend your time making your customers happy and not navigating around Salesforce. So then the next thing here, which I talked about, was filtering the list. So here, if I click on View All to the drill down, I can click this new feature here to filter. So you can see all the columns that I have configured here in the related list are available as filters. So let's say Matt called me up and said, I remember we talked about that missing shipment. What's the latest status on it? I'm like, okay, I remember that. So it must be new. And I know I put missing in the title. So I'll just hit Enter, and just like that, it's available right there. So I could manually scan the list and look for it, or do a Control F to find it in the list. But this makes it much easier and just gets me right down to the ones I need to see. Like, okay, so now I remember the shipping number. I can just copy the shipping number, go right to my shipping system, look up the order number, or if it's integrated into Salesforce, do it all in Salesforce. So these little things I know can add up to really hundreds or thousands of hours across an organization of any decent size. So we're very excited to bring these productivity enhancements to you. So that's moving on from lists to in-app guidance. So let's say you want to make sure that your users know about this feature, right? That's half the battle, is making sure that these new features, either from new platform features from Salesforce or new ways that you've configured the app for your users, you need to make sure you get that into the hands of your users, that they're aware of it. So if you go to Setup and search for in-app guidance, you can do this just by clicking around the screen. So here's the clean state. We don't have any prompts created yet, but after you create them, you'll see your list of prompts here in a pattern you're familiar with from setup. And well, to get started, we'll simply click Add Prompt. So this opens the authoring bar. So you'll be looking essentially at the actual app, but now with this blue authoring bar across the top. So it tells you what page you're looking at. And so these in-app prompts are configured at the app level and on the page. So you can see this will show up on any account that I open. So here I'm already looking at the account I'll look at because I want to bring attention to the new enhanced related list on cases that's available on every account. So I'll just click Add Prompt. Now there are two styles of prompts that we're launching with. The first is a floating prompt, meaning it can be in any of 6 regions on the page. The second is a docked prompt. So that's using the docked composer that you might be familiar with from the global actions with notes and so on. So docked prompts are better for wizards where there might be a multi-step process, and you could create a more of a wizard style in there. Floating prompt is more of a once and done or a quick update there. In this case, we think enhanced related lists are very intuitive and familiar to users, so we'll just do a floating prompt, again, just to bring the user's attention to the new feature. I'll click Next, and it's right in the middle of the page, so I'm going to put it at the top center. And then click Next. So here you can specify permissions. Let's say you had something that's let's say you have your service users and your sales users all using one app, and you only want certain people to see it. You can use these permissions. But in this case, related lists are applicable to everyone, so we'll just leave it on there. OK, so put in a title. All right, so we put a title in there that shows up on the prompt, and then body, we'll just say 10 columns, and so much more. OK, now with the button, we'll put the dismiss button to just get rid of the prompt. So we'll keep it simple and say, got it. And then the action button, this is really powerful. We know a lot of admins create really helpful and complete training materials for your users. So let's say you had, let's say you use Google Slides or something, and you train your new users on the enhanced related list or your cases process, things like that, and you want to bring additional visibility to that from this in-app prompt, you can just do that here. So let's just say, we'll just put in a dummy URL, and put that in there. OK, so now we can specify when it's relevant. So if this is at the beginning of the release, you can assume all your users will log in by the end of the month. So if they don't see it by then, they'll probably get the hang of it another way. You can put a start date and an end date. As you saw, an end date was not required there. And times to show, let's say we just want to do it 2 times. Because sometimes the user logs into Salesforce and they just want to go right to the other thing that they were looking to do, and they'll dismiss the prompt even though it may be helpful. But we'll say 2 times. Any more than that might be overkill. So we'll set it at 2. And days in between, we'll set that to 4. And one thing to note here, all of these prompts are governed by an overall orchestration framework. And that means that we won't show any prompt, no matter how many prompts you create, we won't show more than 1 per 24 hours to a given user. So we'll set that at 4. And then details, we just need to give it a name. We'll just call it enhanced related lists, fill in the API name, and then save and preview. And then there we are. You see the preview right away. So it brings up this information here, checkout cases, 10 columns, and so much more. You can click through and view your training materials if you wanted to, or just click Got It. I'll check out cases, and there we are. So make sure that all your users know about these great productivity enhancing features that are available right in the app. You can also, of course, complement all this information just like you have been with email blasts to your teams or team meetings, all those things. This is just another way to reach your users. OK, and then finally, I will show the 2 plugin extensions. So right now, you'll see Lightning Labs here in user interface. We're changing some of these titles. That's sort of the last details of getting it out. But the first one is dark mode. So just like that, I click around and I can see the app with all the details and the chatter posts. So if you're on a big monitor, I know I've worked with many engineers in my time, and they love to work in huge monitors in a black room with no lights. So if you wanna make sure you're not blinded with the default look and feel of Salesforce, dark mode is a great enhancement for those users. And the next one is the Lightning Console extension, which will be renamed to Tab Grabber. So if I enable this, turn that on, and so I just have a dummy thing here, but we use email and Slack a lot for communications here at Salesforce. So I get a lot of chatter notifications in my email inbox. We use Slack a lot for coordination. So let's say, for example, I got this email notification, view comment. Normally this would open a second browser tab with console in it, but the whole point of Lightning Console is to be able to work efficiently in one browser tab. So if I click that, if you slow this down in slow motion, you'd see that momentarily it opens another browser tab. And that's why I call it Tab Grabber, because it grabs that new browser tab and brings it back into the existing browser tab that Lightning Console is open in. So it just created a new workspace tab. So two benefits there, really. As I said, you can keep working in one browser tab. And secondarily, it didn't take any time to what we call bootstrap to open that new instance of the browser, which could take sometimes a few seconds. So this way, it's instantaneous. It's only loading the content of that record. Very fast. So if you add up all of those times over the course of a day or a week, again, huge time savings. And same thing from Slack. Right? Anywhere you get a URL, it would just open it up as browser tabs. And the reason we didn't call the feature console extension and instead tab grabber is because you could be using standard navigation on this as well. As long as you're only using one record at a time, it can just replace the contents of your standard navigation app, again, saving you that time of loading the full app every time. So very powerful features, again, all about productivity, and I wish we could find a way to easily measure the thousands of hours that we're saving across all of our Salesforce users, because I'm sure it would be just an incredibly massive number.
I suspect that a lot of folks are already imagining how much time they're going to save. So thank you thank you so much for giving the use case of educating users about new features in releases. What a great way to get the word out. You know, we tell admins all the time in the community and in our webinars that, you know, you need a communication method to let users know, even if it's a feature like pinned lists where they don't have to do anything to turn it on, but just, you know, let the users know about it. A quick little pop-up, what a great way to do that. So I hope everyone's looking forward to, you know, creating some of those for some of the summer 19 features, right? And sharing those with her.
And I have one more thing I'd like to add too as well. So if you're paying close attention to the screen here, or if you've been following on the community, you'll notice that the utility bar right now is on the right-hand side. This was a feature that, in hindsight, I thought it made sense to put it on the right for everybody. But we got a lot of great feedback from the community, and thank you to the many customers that I did screen shares with. I really learned a lot about how you use Salesforce, and also what change management means to you as admins. And you know, from a user interface perspective, it might not seem like a big deal, but you made it clear that from the user experience side, all the parts about the training and the time you spent in training materials and concerns that you had that your users would not be able to be as productive with their change, we ended up putting this code back, and we're going to figure out a way to bring it back into the product as soon as possible, but with it being an opt-in model so that you can only put it on the right if you choose to. So look for that in a future release.
Thank you very much for that. So Sam, I know there's tons of questions out there, so let's see what we've got from the audience.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Elna. So we're going to roll back a little bit to enhance lists, and we have a great question here from Michelle. Will we be able to display filtered related lists where the filter persists in future releases? Filter on the fly is great, but having the ability to only display, let's say, closed opportunities would be amazing.
Right, so right now you can set the filter, but it gets saved per the session. So if you close your browser and restart again, you have to reset the filter. I don't know the specific answer to that question, but Jeff Davis, who is the product manager for this, will be presenting on Friday. So if you want to hear it from the man himself, I would certainly recommend tuning into that session. And of course, we can follow up afterwards on the community.
So just to clarify that means that it's when you say per session, it's for that user. So this is something that you would want to communicate to your users. If this is something that you're going to use a lot, you would want to help them understand that it will save for the next session. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. And it does say at the top of the list that what it is filtered on by something. So if you don't see that it says filtered by XYZ, that means it's not currently filtered.
And Annie is asking a similar question. She wants to know, can you, in terms of the resizable columns, can you set defaults for your users, or just end users are customizing for themselves?
That one I'm not totally sure about. Again, there are 1,000 details related to the list, which I hear a lot about from Jeff because we sit across the cube pod from each other, but I don't know offhand.
Okay, great. All right. So Carol is asking about enhanced lists. 10 is the default. Can we have more? So I think that she is relating to the 10 columns.
10 columns is the maximum. So no, currently you cannot have more. And if you had less, it would just be removing them from the page layout editor. But 10 is currently the maximum.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to move on to in-app guidance. There's so much interest in here. The top question of the day is does this cost anything, or is this just part of your subscription?
Great question. For the most part, I'll just cover it. No, we don't charge for this. No, all of these features are no additional cost to you.
And Jordan is asking, can you set this up in Lightning communities? Now, I might need to defer that question, but I thought it was a great one to bring up.
That one I'm not totally sure on. Tim Dubois is the product manager for this, so you can always look for him in the community or @mention him with any questions. Offhand, I don't know. Community is one of those things that everybody always asks about, and at some point, I know I need to learn more about it, but I don't know offhand. I'm pretty sure the answer is no for now, but Tim can confirm that.
Okay, well, we will follow up with Tim. That's a great question. Back to in-app guidance. Also, people are asking, is it available in Classic or is it Lightning only? I'm assuming Lightning only.
This is a Lightning only feature. Yeah, this is one of the only in Lightning innovations. So we think it will be a really powerful way to get people onboarded quickly into Lightning and being as productive as possible, as fast as possible.
And can you use this with mobile?
I know that mobile is in the works for the future, so it's all one platform architecture, but currently I believe it's desktop only. Tim can confirm that.
And just to clarify on in-app prompts, if I create a bunch of them as an admin, will my users see them all at once? I know that you mentioned this, but I want to highlight that again. What is it that the end users will experience?
Good question. So right now it's only one notification per user per 24 hours. And I also should have mentioned earlier that you can report on these things as well. So if you go to setup, you can see the number of views that prompt has had, which would be the number of unique users. You can reset the metrics over time if you kind of want to start fresh with a new cohort of users. So there is some reporting available on that, but currently it's a hard-coded value of one notification per 24 hours per user. And we have a lot of things on the roadmap about how to, ways to make it more dynamic, more robust, and configurable, but right now that's how it is. Because of course we don't want to spam the user with 8 messages in one day. We want to spread them out over time.
Well, people are really excited about this. Michelle is saying it's a game changer. I think it is too, having been a past admin in my life. What I would like to see in the release readiness community is some of your use cases where you intend on using this, because it is a game changer for your users. And I think it would be fun, Elna, to see in the community and share how you're going to use it. Carol, that's a shout out to you because I know how much you train people. So anyway, I think that's very exciting. A couple more questions, Elna, or should we move on? Okay. So back to Tab Grabber. Does it only work if you already have console?
It works in standard navigation as well, Lightning standard navigation, but it is only for Lightning, as it won't affect Classic. But if you're using standard navigation, it just means that it will replace the record that you're currently looking at. So a typical a use case that I've heard for, it seems to be more prevalent in sales use cases. If a sales rep is just mostly working through chatter notifications, but that person prefers to use his or her email inbox as his way of, or her way of keeping track of items or opportunities that she needs to follow up on, they'll just click on that, the reply button in the email chatter notification, and it opens up standard notification. And so rather than opening up a new browser tab for every single reply, if it's just a quick once and done reply to the chatter post, close it, move on to the next one from your email inbox, the tab grabber can really make a huge productivity improvement there, to be able to just open it in the window next to each other.
I actually used an older version of this, and I'm wondering, is this a upgrade to the older one, or is it a brand new extension?
Are you talking about the one for console, for classic console?
Yeah. Well, no, this one, the tab grabber, the dark mode, all that.
Oh, right,
stuff.
yeah. Because internally, and we've had it in pilot with tens of thousands of users, this one will replace that.
Replace it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can upgrade it.
I just want to ask one question, and it's related to the console, because I like to do a little bit of release rewind. Consoles are something that are there for people to be able to set up, correct? So let's just make sure that people who haven't set up console know how easy it is to do this.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, in fact, we're going to talk about roadmap, but one thing that my team is really excited about that we're working on, and it's possible that some of you admins who are in the audience have been part of our research studies, is we're looking at bringing, essentially breaking down the wall between console apps and standard navigation apps to just have a Lightning app, and a user can choose, do I want to experience this in standard navigation or console navigation? And you as the admin, that one will for sure be opt-in. That if you as the admin determine that would be a useful feature for your users, let them decide what is the right navigation style for them. So the user can just pick something in the UI and say, I want to switch this from standard to console without switching apps. Oh. So that's going to be a huge one, and that's a lot of what we heard too, is there seems to be, I guess, maybe some myth around Lightning Console that it's complicated or it's hard, and this will really make it very clear that it's all really the same things that you use to set up an app, and they're really just a couple nuances around console, but none of them are particularly complicated or challenging.
Well, Elna, I'm sure more questions will pour in, but I think what we should do is move on to the next topic, and we'll save them for later.
I agree. So Josh, that means you're up.
All right, thanks so much. So let's talk a little bit about Notification Builder. So I'm going to move our slide here. So we love notifications, right? Notifications are great because they can bring relevant information to users, at the right moment, at the right time. And you may be familiar with some of the notifications we already have in our Lightning experience and in our Salesforce mobile app for iOS and Android. Things like chatter notifications or approvals or task assignments. But until now, really that's all we've been able to offer is those standard notification types that internal Salesforce teams have created. So if you had some custom use cases or you have something maybe that's a little bit outside of what we'd already built, there wasn't a lot you could do. But now, Notification Builder, we are changing all that. So we are exposing the same notification framework that our internal feature teams have been using to surface these notifications. We are giving that now to our admins and developers. So we're really excited about this because you'll very easily be able to publish your own notifications and get them out into the desktop and as mobile push. So in the Summer 19 release, we are rolling this out as a new action and process builder. And we've also got a REST API as well. And so that means you can send a notification on just about any event. So you no longer need to use that workaround where you trigger a chatter post just to get the notification out the door. Maybe you weren't interested in the chatter post, but you wanted the notification. Now we can do those notifications straight away. So why don't I actually just go ahead and dive in and take a look at an example of how this might work. So we can come into my org here, and we'll see we're looking at an account. So we'll walk through a pretty straightforward use case, standard objects only, custom field here. But of course, this is going to be applicable to pretty much anything that you can do with custom objects, etc. So we're really going to see the power of the platform come together here, which is really one of the most exciting things about this. So if we look at my account view here, we've got a custom field here called at risk for attrition. So nobody ever wants to lose a customer, but we want to make sure that we can track and make sure we're keeping a close eye on anything that may go wrong. So in my org here, my sales reps have asked to be notified anytime a support case is created for one of their accounts that has this flag set. So any accounts that we're watching really carefully, anytime they report something, we want to know about it. So we can do this again really easily. Let's take a look at Process Builder. So this is one of the nice things about the Salesforce platform is where we can really start building on the blocks that are already there. So Process Builder already exists, right? So that's great. Salesforce is really good at catching events and then going to do a thing. So with Process Builder, we didn't have to invent any of this new framework. It's already here. So we can see I've already got a process a little bit pre-baked here on the case object. So this is going to fire when a new case is created. And the criteria I'm looking for is that custom field, the attrition risk. If that's equal to true, I want to go send a notification. So let's take a look at actually adding the action. So this is where we see the new functionality that's coming out in Summer 19. We're going to have this option for sending a custom notification. All right. So let's go ahead and create this. So the first thing we need to do is give this a name. And next, we're going to need to select a notification type. So this is something that we had already created in a previous step, and I'll jump over into another tab and show you this here. A notification type really has to do with routing, like which channels is this notification going to flow through, and ultimately, which experiences will a user see it. So I've got one here pre-created, at-risk account alert. If we take a look at this in Edit, we can see the supported channels. So right now, the channels that we're going to support are desktop and mobile. Desktop will obviously be when you're logged into the browser in your org and you have that notification bell up in the upper right-hand part of your screen. And mobile will be the Salesforce mobile app for iOS and Android. We've got a lot more coming here, but I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end when we talk about what's coming next. So once we have this notification type in place, we can go ahead and select that in our process builder. And again, this will determine which channels will this notification flow through. So we handled routing. The next we need to think about is our recipient. So who is going to receive this notification? And we've got a lot of great options here. We can send this to a specific named user. So every time this process fired, that named user would receive the notification. We can send it to an owner. An owner can be a user or a queue on a case, so we don't have to worry about that. We can just say send it to the owner. We can also send it to public groups. We can send it to everyone in a support queue. We also have support for account teams and opportunity teams. So a lot of flexibility in determining the recipients for these notifications. But in this example, we just want the account owner. So we're going to have to set this up. And again, this is where we see the process builder is just going to kick in an existing functionality. So we'll start with our case, and we're going to connect the dots to our account ID. And here we're going to want our owner. Oops, excuse me, hang on a second. There we go. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll send that to our account owner. And next we need to think about the content. So what do we want in that payload of the notification? What do we want it to say? So we've got two sections here. We've got the notification title and the notification body. The title is that little bit up at the top that's in the bold. And then we got the body down below with room for some more content. So we can enter in some of our text here. And we can use merge fields, which is really nice. So we can make these notifications really context sensitive. So here, let's go ahead and call out the name of the account so that when the account owner sees this, they'll know exactly who we're talking about here. We'll filter this. Why am I not seeing that? Bear with me a moment. Sorry, I can't find my account name. There we go. It's hiding from me. All right, so we'll pick our account name, and that just drops in the merge field, just like we're used to using a process builder formula field. It's a pretty standard pattern. Now in the body, we can add some more content. Maybe we just want to go ahead and put the subject of that case, so we can have that as well. So case, we'll just come in and grab the subject. And here we go. So the last bit here when we're configuring in Process Builder is the target. So the target is where do you navigate when you receive the notification and you tap on it or you click on it. So for Summer 19, this is really just going to be the record in the object that kicked off the process. So in this example, it would take us right to the case that was logged. And I'll talk a little bit more. We got some more plans about how we're going to make this more flexible, give you some more options. But this is what we've got for now. So we'll go ahead and save this, and we'll activate our process. And now we should be ready to go. So let's actually take a look at this kick in. And I'm going to slide this over here. I've got a device cabled up so we can actually see this notification come in when it's delivered. So again, we're in my Valley Supply account. They've got the at-risk flag, the one that we're watching for on that process. So let's go ahead and create a new case. So a customer maybe called us and said they're unable to access the settings. All right, so we'll go ahead and save that. And right away you see we got our notification showed up here in the desktop. Oops, I'll show that again. And it showed up on the device. So if we go ahead and we actually tap this on the device, we'll see it'll take us right into, it's going to sort itself out and take us right into the account, into that case. So we can really see here how easily we were able to create a notification for a use case that didn't come out of the box. So there are so many things that we can do with Notification Builder, and we're really excited about that. So let me just recap. We'll kind of go back into the slides for a minute. And we'll just review. So it's really just 3 easy steps for custom notifications now. First step is figure out your routing. What channels are you going to send this through? Next is the recipients. So who's going to receive the notification? And last is the content. What are you going to include in that notification? So this is something, sending custom notifications, sending custom push notifications. This used to be really hard. It required a lot of infrastructure. But now with some clicks in Process Builder, and again, we've also got a REST API for this that kind of comes for free with our custom actions. Our admins and developers will be able to send these out to the users for pretty much any use case you can imagine. Before we talk about some questions, I'll give you a little bit of insight into what we're thinking is coming next for this. We'll give you a little insight here. So I mentioned we do have support in Process Builder and REST API. We'll be adding support for Flow Builder as prioritized for our winter release, but safe harbor, of course. We'll also be looking at preferences for standard types. So remember, those are those ones that you currently have that are coming out of the box, like chatter and approvals, task assignments. So we're going to offer you preferences. You will be able to turn those off. Maybe they don't meet your needs exactly, and you want to customize that experience. You could turn off the out-of-the-box notification type and replace it with a custom one. We're also going to offer the ability to send to other mobile apps. So as I mentioned, right now with Summer 19, it's just going to be the Salesforce mobile app for iOS and Android. But we'll also be looking at sending to mobile publisher apps, other Salesforce-built apps, or even custom apps as well. Navigation targets. So like I mentioned, at the moment, it's really just that record that kicked off the process. But maybe I want a notification if an opportunity closes. But instead of going to that opportunity, take me to the dashboard where I can see the impact of that opportunity. So you want to get some more flexibility there. And then as far as content within those notifications, actions are great. So when you get a notification and you can take action on it, maybe approve or deny something, or kick off a quick action or a platform action without even having to go into the app, that's going to be really useful. And also rich content. So notifications are great when they bring that information to the user, but when you can send things like images and more rich content, that's going to be even more powerful as well. So we have a lot planned around Notification Builder. This is really just kind of our initial GA release here, but there's a lot more coming in the pipe, and we're really excited about this.
Wow, this is really exciting.
Yeah.
So I think we should just pause for a minute and take a couple of questions. But a quick point of clarification, because I know that you could do a form of notifications in Process Builder before. So you
Correct.
could do like a chatter notification and a email. So what's the big difference between this new custom notification builder and the previous one in the previous standard notification?
So there were a couple things that were existing in Process Builder. So the first would be sending an email notification. So that's kind of email is the original notification, right? So be able to send an email out, and that's where we really haven't overlapped with that with the Notification Builder. The email is still kind of a separate thing or separate action in Process Builder. And as far as chatter goes, it's a great thing to point out. We know that's what a lot of people were having to do before we had this capabilities. I needed to get a notification out, and the best way to do it was to make a chatter post, and then that chatter post would trigger a notification. Maybe I didn't necessarily need the chatter post, on its face, but it allowed me to get the notification out the door. And sometimes that's still valid because we may want to send a notification. In some cases, like a task approval or something like that, it's really just relevant for the recipient. But in other cases, you may want to have a public record of somebody was notified of something. And in that case, chatter would still be an ideal way to do that, to send that chatter notification so other folks can see it in their feed, as opposed to a notification to a single recipient, which would just be visible to that user.
So we're taking out the middleman when you don't need the middleman, basically.
Exactly.
Right. So Sam, let us know what questions we have.
Well, of course, people want to know, is this coming with their subscription? Is there any add-on fees for this? Will they be able to use this right away?
Nope. This is available at no cost, and this will be available right away in summer 19.
And I want to clarify a little bit, because we have these two amazing tools now available. One is notifications, and then the other is the in-app guidance. And as I'm thinking about it and planning as an admin, the in-app guidance is more how I'm going to train my users. Notifications are notifying them on record actions or things that they need to do versus training, right? Is that how you would classify these two capabilities?
Well, certainly, defer to Sandra on some of the training stuff, but as far as the notifications go, that's really, we kind of think of that as more transactional. Mm-hmm. Like something happened you need to know about, and we're going to give you a specific alert about the occurrence of that event. Something changed in your org, a record change, an event occurred. And, in the future, when we're able to include actions in those notifications as well, we can let you know not only that something happened, but now you need to do something, and you can do it right here directly from the notification.
And some people would like to know, would the notifications work with updates to profiles? So if you're starting to do that type of update, or is this on records themselves?
Because I'm not sure if I understand the nature of the question. That may be one to, we can clarify that, or maybe we can take that in the community.
Candy, what we might want to know is, are you wondering if I change a user record to a different profile, would that be the triggering item on that notification, or a change to the physical profile itself? So if you could clarify that in the community, that would be great, and then we can get you an answer.
Maybe I can just cut in real quick. So at a higher level, if you can catch that event in Process Builder, you can send the notification. So it's almost more of a question of, can I trap the occurrence of that event? And that's, like I said, it gets the beauty of the platform, right? Salesforce is already really good at listening for something to happen and then going to do a thing. And we're just adding a new action you can perform. So if you can catch that event, you'll be able to send the notification.
And we have a great question. How many Process Builder processes and notifications per object are ideal before they impact performance? So are there any considerations that admins should be thinking about there?
There's really not any hard and fast limits with notifications per se. We obviously do have some limits, for health of the service, if you will, but our intent is to allow you to send as many notifications as you need.
And finally, can I package this if I'm developing a package?
That is a great question. Definitely for all of our partner friends out there, this is going to be great news. Yes, the notification types and the actions included in the processes, those are packageable. So this is going to be really great for our partner friends.
And since it's related, can I package the in-app guidance as well?
That one I will need to defer to. I know for sure that we are working closely with some of our partners that are already doing these types of things to make sure that they can build, the things that they bring to the ecosystem as a partner on top of what we have as a platform. But the details of packageability, I'm not 100% sure on.
All right, we'll need to find out about that. So, Elna, should we move on?
Do you have one more question, and then we'll go on?
Jordan is asking, can I combine both custom notifications and email actions to send both to users?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could just have two separate processes that you kick off, two separate actions you kick off in a given process. So they can definitely coexist.
So this is just another thing that you're adding into your process.
Correct. And the great thing here is when these notifications go out, they're showing up under the bell, right, in that notification tray. And also in the mobile app, they're showing up both as a push notification that shows up on your lock screen. Also, when you go into the Salesforce mobile app and you open up the notifications, you'll see it there as well. So it's going to persist in those locations.
And what about those clever users that can they mute these notifications? So if they mute, how much can they control whether they see these notifications or not?
So for mobile, we do offer that. And actually, I don't know if we can cut back to my screen for a minute, I can actually show you this. For mobile, we do have that capability. Let me show you. We'll go into settings here. If I go into my notification settings in the app, we can see right at the top here that at-risk account alert, that notification type I created, that is available for users to control. So as soon as you create that type, that will be visible. We don't currently have user-level controls for the desktop notifications, but that is in our plan as far as our greater plans around increased preferences.
Great. All right. Well, Elna, back to you.
Okay, so Josh, you're on a roll.
Right?
So why don't
Let's keep it going.
let's move into mobile, because this is really exciting. You think that was exciting? Wait to hear this.
All right. So next thing we want to talk about is, we're doing a lot of work on our Salesforce mobile app for iOS and Android, and we're really referring to this. This is going to be really big in the winter release as the all-new Salesforce mobile app. So we've done a lot of great work in Salesforce on the desktop around our Lightning experience, but just sometimes, when you pull out our mobile device, it doesn't look exactly like, what we built on the desktop, or there has been some functionality that didn't translate directly. And so we know that can be difficult as a developer, or specifically as an admin trying to train your users in two different form factors. So we are bringing the Lightning experience to mobile. We're really bringing it wholesale, and it's just gonna work, right? So we're looking at a few main points here. We have the unified experience for applications that you build in Lightning and the navigation. We have more responsive components, so we're going to have Lightning components are now going to be available in those record detail pages in the mobile app. And the Lightning App Builder is going to be a lot more friendly around mobile, and we can dig into some of these items. So let's take a look at unifying the user experience. So this is something we heard a lot from our customers. Hey, I built something in the desktop and I go to mobile and I don't recognize it. So really what we're trying to do here is converge these experiences. So the navigation is going to translate a lot better onto mobile. And of course, we're definitely looking at different form factors here. The phone screen is obviously a much different shape than your desktop, but it's going to translate really well. So you're going to know what you're looking at when you come into the mobile app. Another huge thing is profile-based navigation. So it used to be with the mobile app, it was one config fits all, right? But now you'll be able to see the same profile-based customizations that you've made in the desktop. Those are going to reflect on the device as well. So your different user groups on mobile are going to see what they're supposed to see instead of everybody looking at a standardized version. And we've also got with this new navigation bar at the bottom, we've revamped the UI. You can see a little bit here in the screenshot. You can personalize that, so you can reorder some of the items that are down there. You can add and remove things to get quick access to things that your users need the most. All right. Next is some continuity with the record pages. So we know we've got a lot of great Lightning components that are available, and we put them in the desktop, and we look at those, we go into a record, and they weren't available in mobile. So I'd open up a record and we'll say, hey, this is somewhat of a lean page layout. I'm not seeing a lot of the great customizations that we had made in the desktop. Those are now going to be available on the mobile app. So we're really excited about that. Again, you're really streamlining the experience between both versions and making the mobile app look and feel like you would expect. The next is we've done a lot in the Lightning App Builder. We've got some new preview capabilities so that you can see what the app is going to look like on a mobile device, like right in the Lightning App Builder. We've also got some filtering for some of these components. So you could say, hey, only show this item on desktop. Maybe it's not suited for mobile. Maybe it never should have been there. Or only show this item on mobile. We've got some great capability there. We've also got record page assignment, some component visibility rules, as I just mentioned. So there's a lot of great things going on with the Lightning App Builder and our ability to customize specifically for mobile, which we know has been a big request for a long time. All right. So the next thing is how do we actually start working with this? So as I mentioned, this is coming out in the winter release timeframe. It's most likely going to be after Dreamforce, but we do have some things you can start playing with now. So in the summer 19 release, this is going to be available by default in Developer Edition. So if you have a Developer Edition org, it's already available. You can go ahead and just turn on, there's a new permission called Lightning on Mobile. So if you go into and build a permission set and you enable that, anybody you assign that permission to is now going to see this new experience in the Salesforce mobile app. app. But if you want to take it another step further and actually start participating in the pilot with your sandbox or your production org, we've got an open pilot available as well. So you'll just need to sign up. There's a URL here. I'm sure we can post this. You can find it in the community later. But if you just go to SFDC Co, Pilot New Salesforce Mobile, you'll be able to sign up for this pilot. We can get this enabled for you in your sandbox or your production org. So again, this is something we're real excited about. We know for a long time, folks have been waiting to be able to deliver that same experience or a very similar experience to that which they built in the desktop and the mobile app. And we're going to see a lot of great performance improvements along the way. It's not just the lightning look and feel. We're really calling it the all-new Salesforce mobile app because it really is, it really is all new. It's going to be a great new experience for our mobile users out there. All right. So I'm happy to take any questions we might have on mobile.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot.
Well, one quick one for me is, do you, as an admin, do you have to do anything special to get it to look the way you want it, or does it automatically refactor itself based on what you've done on the desktop?
For the most part, it's just going to work. It's just going to work automatically. We do have, like I mentioned, there's some new capabilities in the Lightning App Builder. So if you do want to customize it specifically for mobile, you can. But you can also designate certain Lightning apps should go on mobile. So you do have some control. By and large, it's just going to work, but you have a lot more control of making a more tailored mobile experience if that's what you're after.
Sam, what have we got?
Well, so Cindy's asking regarding the new mobile application for Lightning. She is asking, do you need to download a different mobile app, or is it just going to be available in her current mobile app? And I think you answered that it's the current mobile app. Can you clarify that? And then can you slowly repeat the URL so that I can write it down and post it in Twitter?
Okay. So how do we get this? So the new Salesforce mobile, this is going to be, like I said, in the winter release. We come out with the new versions of the mobile app, on every major release. The release where this is going to fully GA will be that winter release, which is coming up, in the post Dreamforce timeframe. So most of your users, folks pretty much have their devices set to automatically, update to the latest apps when they become available in the App Store. So people will just get it. Although, as I mentioned, it is available in Summer 19 in your developer orgs. You can also join the pilot. The apps that are currently out there now, so we're still on spring. We're the tail end of spring for the mobile app. Summer is going to come out. Both spring and summer will support these capabilities, but it's going to be fully GA ready again in winter. But definitely start playing with it now with the versions that are already out there, and they'll just start working.
So play with it in the developer org.
Yeah, developer org or sign up for that pilot, and that was the second part of the question.
Yes. So
the URL was sfdc.co/pilot new Salesforce mobile.
And how does the sign up work? Do they just automatically get enabled, or do they just get an email?
That'll take you to a form where you can sign up. And anybody who's already participated in one of our pilots is probably familiar with the process. You'll have to fill out a form, and submit that to us, and then we can turn on kind of this early access functionality in your org. If you've already participated in a previous pilot, I think we keep those pretty generic so that we should be able to just enable you. If not, you may need to fill out a form and send that to us. But that's just to get it into your sandbox or your production orgs. If you have a developer org, again, you can start playing with it straight away in summer. And if you don't have a developer org, you should sign up for one. They're free, and you should always have one of those in your back pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was one of the biggest questions. And Jacinta already beat us to it. It's posted in the Release Readiness community. So if you want to sign up for that pilot, it's there for you. So that's great. Let me go to Twitter and see what questions are out on Twitter. Oh, and you know what? Jacinta posted it in Twitter as well. So the link for that pilot is out there for you. I think that this is so exciting. People, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
People are going to be signing up for this. So I have one question to ask, and then Elna, we can move on. So in terms of, so you talked about when it's going to be generally available, and that's going to be in the winter release, correct? Mm-hmm. What can I do to get ready? That was the other question that was out there, and that's all about using that developer edition and making sure that you play with it out there. If you want to enable this in your sandbox, which I would always recommend doing before production, then we posted the link for signing up for the pilot. So Elna, I think what we can do is move on.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and move into something a little bit different with John talking about Shield platform encryption. If I got that right.
You did, and you're a tough act to follow. So I want to talk quickly about a couple of new and exciting things that we've done with Shield platform encryption very recently. The first I'm going to talk about is we call filter preserving encryption, which is powered by deterministic encryption. And to explain what this is and what it means and why it's important, first I want to talk real quick about when we first launched platform encryption back in 2015, we launched it with what we call probabilistic encryption, which means every time I take a plain text value and I encrypt it, it's a completely different and unique ciphertext. That's very important for security. It protects the data at rest, but it's also terrible for actually using the data on the Salesforce platform. It actually prevents you from using it in a whole host of ways. You can't use it in SOC where clauses, you can't use it in list views, you can't do reports and dashboards and all those kinds of things that are really important features of the platform. So we started working pretty quickly after that on what we call deterministic encryption. And deterministic encryption differs in that when you take a plain text value on a given object and field on that object, and you encrypt it, you'll get the same ciphertext. But we've limited it so that it's only on a field basis on an object. So if I take two different fields on the same object, same plain text, and I encrypt them, they're different. But if I take the same field, same object, and I encrypt the same ciphertext twice, you'll get the same result. This is important because it actually gives us those capabilities that were missing before. So you can use it in reports, you can use it in dashboards, and I'll show using it in reports here in a little bit. You can use it in list view filters, you can do SOC where clauses, you can set it up as an external ID, you can set it to be unique, and you can do custom indexes, all while maintaining that same strong 256-bit AES encryption that is the bedrock of platform encryption. The other thing that it allows for is duplicate management rules. You couldn't use duplicate management rules on encrypted data before. That's now possible, and you can use that with both exact match and fuzzy matching, and it supports both case-sensitive and case-insensitive matching. With the summer 19 release, we have launched, we've finalized the deterministic encryption by adding case-insensitive capability to it. So now it's exact match, so you have to have the same text, the exact same text, but it can be upper or lower case. Case doesn't matter anymore. And the next thing that I wanted to talk about is our self-service background encryption. Since we launched platform encryption, if you wanted to rotate your encryption keys, or if you wanted to encrypt the data that you had previous to enabling encryption on a field, you'd have to contact Salesforce support. And you'd have to work with them to set up a time to actually go and run that job to encrypt the data in the background. What we've done here is we've made it self-service. So instead of having to contact Salesforce support, you can go to the encryption statistics page, which is shown in the screenshot here. We've added a column that tells you if you need to synchronize your data. That basically means that there's something behind the scenes. It could be changing the encryption scheme. You could have created a new encryption key, any host of things, but it tells you when you need to run that background job. All you have to do is select an object in the list on the left, and you'll see a button kind of a little bit in the middle there on top that says sync. You click that button, and that's it. That's all you have to do. The platform takes care of the rest. Now, this does only work currently for non-large text area fields, which anything that is encrypted with deterministic encryption will be a non-large text area field. We are working hard on bringing large text area fields as well as files and attachment encryption capabilities to the self-service job. And with that, I want to go to a demo and show these off in action. So as you can see, I've already launched into my Salesforce org. I'm in setup. I searched for platform encryption. I see 4 distinct pages. If I'm going to set up deterministic encryption, the first thing I want to do is go to advanced settings, which I'm already there. One of the advanced settings is deterministic encryption. This needs to be turned on. This basically enables all of the back-end capabilities required for deterministic encryption to work. After I've done that, I would go to key management. And these are the 2 steps that are required before you can set up deterministic encryption in your encryption policy. So from tenant secret type, I would select data in Salesforce, deterministic. And then all you have to do is generate tenant secret. I've already got one generated, so I'm not going to go ahead and generate another one today. But all you do is click that. There's nothing else you have to do. And from there, to set up deterministic encryption in your encryption policy, you'd go to the encryption policy page. You click this link that says encrypt fields. And here you see your encryption policy. And today we're going to look at leads. We're going to see how deterministic encryption can be utilized in restoring some of that platform functionality. And today you see I've got an encryption policy. I've got it set to encrypt the company. And I've got it set for deterministic case-sensitive encryption. Now if I go over here and I look at my leads, you can see I've got 3 leads here. I've got the company is salespeople. And as can happen, sometimes people will use different case. So, in one of these, it's all lowercase. The other next one, we've got it's capitalized to begin it. And then the third one, we've got sales and people, and the S in sales and the P in people is uppercase. And that's fine. I mean, that's the way it happens sometimes. But if I wanted to run a report on this, it becomes a little tricky. Because if you noticed, I had set it up as encrypting case sensitive. And so if I go into this report is filtering on the company. And I can go in and I can show how that looks, but you can see that it's actually, I will do that so you can see what I'm doing. On the filters, you can see company account equals salespeople, all lowercase. Which again is fine, it's going to catch some of it, but it's not going to catch all of it. In this case, it's only going to catch the one lead that's in with the company name salespeople, where it's all lowercase. If I wanted to change that, what I would need to do is change the encryption scheme, and that's really easy to do. All I need to do is go to Edit, select deterministic encryption case insensitive, and then save. What this is doing behind the scenes, and I'll talk about it a little bit because it's going to take a minute for it to do it. It's actually going behind the scenes. It's changing the metadata for that object, and it's changing the encryption scheme. And what it's doing is changing the encryption scheme from deterministic case sensitive to deterministic case insensitive. There's some things that it needs to do in the back-end process in order for us to be able to use the case insensitive deterministic encryption. And while it's doing that, I'll go to encryption statistics, and I'll show a little bit about this. Now, encryption statistics, it is currently blocked because it's waiting to set up that encryption on the field. But what I would do, and I'll do that here in a second, I'll refresh it. The encryption statistics page, as I said before, you have the sync needed column. This will tell you if you need to actually synchronize your data. If you need to run that background sync. And it could be any number of things from I've changed the encryption scheme, which is what I've done here. You could have a new key. You could have rotated your keys, and so you'd have to rotate your database off that. Or if you've just added encryption to a field, when you do that, you can use this synchronize button to actually encrypt the data that existed before you turned on encryption. We're going to refresh this real quick. And we're going to go to lead, and we can see that synchronize is now available. So all you have to do to sync it is click that button. I've only got 315 records, so it's going to go super fast. It's probably actually already done. But what we can do here again is, and to see this in action, is we'll go back to that report. We'll run the report, and now we can see that all 3 of the leads, regardless of what case they were, are now showing up. So it's still encrypted. It's still, all of those are encrypted, but the filter is now picking up on the fact that it's case insensitive, so it doesn't matter if all of them are the same case. And so that's pretty much what we've got for platform encryption. I do want to go quickly back to the slides and talk a little bit about what's coming up. So in summer 19, as I mentioned, we've got the filter preserving encryption. We're GAing or making generally available the case insensitive filtering. As part of that, we're in beta on skinny table support for the case insensitive filtering. That's easy to turn on. It's just contact support, and support can enable that. We've also launched generally available Shield platform encryption support for Scratch orgs, which is super exciting. You can now use platform encryption in your Scratch orgs. It's a lot of work from multiple teams to make that happen. And then we've also expanded encryption coverage to cover the chat product, which is formerly Live Agent, as well as activity subject, and email to case feed and email message is now also generally available. And then coming up in subsequent releases, we've got the additional capability on the self-service background sync that I talked about, adding large text area fields as well as files, as well as adding API support. So you can kick this off through API. You won't have to go to the UI, which I'm sure some of our partners will like as well. And then we're continuing to expand encryption. I know Financial Service Cloud is doing work around insurance fields, and the platform team for platform events will be adding that. We support change data capture today, so this is the kind of next step from that. And I'm happy to hear any questions anybody has.
All right, so just one from me. Lots of customers need encrypted data.
Yes.
Not all customers, but certainly, and for some, it's really critical. It's essential.
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about, what type of customers should be looking into this if they don't already have this already, and a little bit more about how they would get this going in their org?
Sure. First, the customers that would be looking to do this, they're typically the more risk-averse customers. So you're looking at financial services, healthcare, government, or any organization that really feels the need to strongly protect data. Obviously, it's complex and it takes time to implement, and it's not for everybody. In order to get it implemented, it's a add-on SKU for Shield platform encryption, or you can buy Shield, which is multiple products as a bundle. You can get it either way, and so it'd be talking to your account team to make that happen.
Great. So for those who are already have it or want more information, what questions do we have?
Well, just to clarify that, I believe that this is available on developer orgs to play around with.
You're correct. It is available on developer edition orgs. So if you want to play around with it and see the capabilities, you can certainly spin up a developer org, or if you already have one, log into it. It's available and set up today.
That's a great way to develop your use case inside of your company. So first explore and then develop the use case. So in terms of questions, let's just talk a little bit about deterministic encryption. When should a customer use that?
You'd want to use it anytime that you have impacts to platform functionality. So if you need to use reports, if you want to be able to filter on list views, or especially if you want to use any of your encrypted data in SOC where clauses, anywhere where you're doing any kind of logical operations against that data, you're going to want to use deterministic encryption.
And deterministic encryption, is it available for all fields?
Yeah, no. It's available. It's not available for large text area fields, but it is available for most standard text fields.
Great. And finally, how can I ensure that my data is really encrypted?
Like I showed on the demo, the best way to do it is through the encryption statistics page. It shows you everything you need to know, including if you have mixed states on keys. So you have some encrypted with an old key, some encrypted with a new key, or mixed encryption schemes. So if I go and I change my encryption scheme, and I want to see what's going on there. I can see that new data is encrypted with the new encryption scheme. Old data may still be encrypted with the old one until you run that background sync. But it gives you everything you need to know about what's encrypted, how it's encrypted, and when you need to run a sync to kind of sync everything back up.
All right. Well, thank you. Those are the questions that I have about Shield encryption, Elna. If we want to go back to, is there a roadmap slides
Do
we
you,
want
do
to
you
look
have
at?
any more slides, or are you done?
I'm
All
done.
right. So we do have a few more minutes left, so we
Okay.
can go back to any topic. So if there are any questions we didn't get to for any of our guests, send them our way.
All righty. So I'm going to scroll back through. We'll do a little bit of, first of all, there's just a bunch of shout outs for Notification Builder especially. I have a Notification Builder tickles my fancy. That's really, that's great fun. I'm looking for the questions. There's a lot of shout outs. So
So while you're looking for that, I have
you.
one other quick question for John. So you were mentioning synchronizing. So like when you made a change to the case sensitivity and then you needed to resync in order for that to show up in the report. So can you just explain what are you synchronizing it with? Just for those of us who are not too familiar with the back end.
So the way encryption works is we're actually setting up metadata for a given field. So it's all metadata driven, much like everything Salesforce. So when I go and I set a field as encrypted, either probabilistic or any of the deterministic, what I'm doing is I'm setting on that field some metadata that says I'm encrypted with this scheme. What that background sync is doing is actually checking the metadata and then checking the actual data to making sure that the data is synchronized with what the metadata describes it as. So when I change the encryption scheme from case sensitive to case insensitive, it's going and checking is the data actually case insensitive already, which it's not. So in that case, it's going and changing that data and encrypting it with case insensitive.
So is it like re-encrypting or refreshing in a
Yeah,
way?
so you could look at it as re-encrypting. That's especially true with the probabilistic. It will, when you switch between the two, it will definitely do a complete re-encrypt. Because deterministic and probabilistic use completely different encryption keys, so it'd have to encrypt it with a new key.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for explaining that. So what have we got, Sam?
So Christopher has asked some really interesting questions and is really thinking hard about in-app guidance. So can in-app guidance be assigned per user, per role, per permission, or just per profile?
Yeah, good question, Christopher. And currently it's by permission, so it's not by profile. Adding it by profile will be coming in a future release. And as I said, this is the initial release of the feature, so we wanted to get it into the hands of our admins to make sure that you can get it out to your users. But we know that there are going to be a lot of different ways of how you want to make sure that the right user sees the right message at the right time. And we want to make sure that we're not designing anything in a vacuum. So please reach out to us on the community. As I said, Tim Dubois is the product manager for that, and he has a really robust roadmap built out about how to make sure that feature can be as useful and flexible and robust for you as possible. So he can share that, but definitely profiles would be in the near-term roadmap and other things like that.
And I love this. So, because Chris is really thinking about this, and he's thinking about use cases that extend outside of just in-app guidance. But his example is don't forget that open enrollment ends on Friday, things like that. And I could imagine that between in-app guidance and also notifications, let's say on a process builder for a new user, there might be things that you want to push out that have nothing to do with the app. Can you guys brainstorm a little bit about what you would do, when you would do that, what those use cases would be? Because I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I should have called that out to begin with. There's no reason that the notification would have to have anything to do with Salesforce. But if that's where your users are spending the majority of their time, and you're not sure if they're reading your emails or attending the company meetings, and you want to make sure you're reaching them at the various touch points, absolutely, in-app guidance is a very much legitimate use case for that.
And I could totally see on the new user record, when I create a new user, processes tapping into notifications for things like this, yes?
Yeah, certainly. Like I said, pretty much, this is why I love the platform so much, right? Because anything you can tap into, any event that you can catch, the creation of any user, you could send that user a notification. When they log in to their org for the first time, that notification will be waiting for them on the notification tray, so they could see that straight away. Yes, there's a lot of great things that we can do.
That's awesome. Dennis is asking a question around encryption. So can we use the user interface to unencrypt similar to syncing our data after encryption?
Yes, although in most cases, when you deselect encryption on a field, it will automatically decrypt for you, so you don't have to use the synchronize feature.
So Sam, I think we're going to wrap it up because we're going to get ready to roll again in another hour or so with another session. So I have one more quick question for Josh, and then we'll sign off for today. I did see someone was asking about offline capabilities for mobile. So if you could speak to that, that would be great.
Sure. So our intention for the all-new Salesforce mobile is we plan for it to work exactly the way the current version of the Salesforce mobile app works. So the current capabilities around recent items and the way we cache and prime things available for offline use, that is how we expect things to work for the new all-new Salesforce mobile app. If we have questions around like the bigger picture around offline, we have a lot of thinking around there. We should probably a lot of nuances and plans around that. It might be better to take that to the community.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If we didn't get to your question live, don't worry, we will follow up with you within the next couple of days. And we have recorded this, so you can always go watch it back if you want to see those demos again and see all those things, those setup tricks and tips that we saw. And we also really love to get your feedback. So if you could take a moment to click on the survey link on the page and let us know what you thought of not only this session, but all the sessions that we're doing this week, that would be really appreciated. We are going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back at 11:45 Pacific for Marketing Cloud. I'm really excited to welcome them today. And also tomorrow we'll be back at 9:30 Pacific for Service Cloud. So definitely come back for those additional sessions. And I also cannot wait to hear how you're innovating with new features. So let's keep the conversation going in the Release Readiness community, where trailblazers all go to meet to be release ready.